Hello everyone and welcome to Flickering Myth TV. My name is EJ Marino and I cannot hold my laughter in. Oh my goodness, we're talking about the new Netflix movie, Hillbilly Elegy. What in the hokey pokey redneck mess was this movie? Oh my goodness, how do we unpack Hillbilly Elegy? First off, I'm gonna kind of avoid the controversy around the author of the book and his nationalistic beliefs. There was enough to talk about this movie that I don't even have to get into the person who wrote the story because it is that much of a mess. This movie feels so strange. There's a lot of controversy around it. The way it depicts Reagan-era politics, the look of the South, the fact that it was written by written about Appalachian people, but written by someone who has no idea about that culture, directed by someone who played Richie Cunningham in Happy Days. Like, there was a lot of stuff and a lot of drama around this movie, and it's kind of crazy to think about a movie with Glenn Close and Amy Adams isn't the big front runner at the awards that it should be. It might be. This might get the Green Book syndrome. We'll talk about the datedness of this movie, but in general, I'm just kind of amazed to see a movie that I thought was a surefire Oscar bet turn out to be such a mess. So, I don't know, so disillusioned with its own kind of message, so trying to say so many things at one time, but it ends up saying nothing at all, which probably fits the author's mentality. I mean, he just did a crazy tweet about daylight savings time and it ruins fertility. I'm not going to try to get into all of that, but I do have to address that this movie has a lot of controversy around it that isn't even about the movie, but I'm going to try to keep this as much about this movie as I can. Hillbilly Elegy, written by J.D. Vance, which is kind of a memoir on his life, talks about his life with his drug addict mother and his grandma, and what does he do, and he's trying to figure out his life and the legal front. Oh god, he doesn't know which fork to use at dinner. Oh my goodness, yeah, it feels so dated at times. There was a time in the late 80s and the 90s and a little bit in the 2000s where we were obsessed with rednecks and the southern life. I mean, things like Raising Arizona, Forrest Gump, Joe Dirt, the Dukes of Hazzard remake, the Ernest movies. There was a lot of stuff where we were like talking about the southern life and depicting them, and it almost felt like a joke at times. I mean, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a great example in a much better movie than this, but it's another movie that has a vibe that you're like, oh, this feels a little, almost mocking the southern life. This movie has that in a way where I'm just like, the accents feel so over the top. Like, literally, the first time Amy Adams and Glenn Close spoke, I laughed out loud because it sounded so fake, so, I don't want to say pandering, but so, like, this is what southern people sound like. Don't you like it? It's so crazy. It feels so dated. It feels like a movie that would have came out in the 90s. Actually, it feels like a made-for-TV movie that would have came out in the 90s. This is some ABC Family, like 9 p.m., 8 p.m. actually, the whole family can watch it, kind of vibe. I can't believe a movie like this was made and is gonna probably go to the Oscars. This seriously reminds me of Green Book, where maybe the intentions weren't the worst, but how it came across and the end product is a mess. The character of JD has no real plot and vision of his life. There's just a lot of like, and here's a sad story about my childhood. It's like, oh, okay, can I get context? Can I get some things? Do you have something to say about the drugs or how poverty is created by, people above you, but you guys are supposed to be blaming the people under you? It's a mess. No, you have nothing to say. It's just, look how crazy this redneck hillbilly life is. And it's like, okay, I need more, and this movie gave me nothing. What really upsets me is this should be Glenn Close and Amy Adams' vehicle for the Oscars. There's a crazy performance from Glenn Close where she's completely transforming her body, doesn't even really look like herself, and Amy Adams was brave and gained 15 pounds for this role, I'm sure, and she looks completely different. Yeah, no, I just wasn't vibing with their performances. It felt so kind of lackluster. It felt so, really? Like, these are going to be the ones that we're going to maybe nominate them for? Like, for real, if Glenn Close wins for this movie after like 7, 8 nominations, I think 6 or 7, that she has not won, but this could be her winning performance. No. That is a mess, and that's what I fear. This has major Green Book vibes in that, where I'm like, these are the performances and the acting in the movie that we're gonna try to push forward. It's sad. The guy who plays J.D. Vance's character was pretty interesting. I thought he was one of the better actors in this thing. Like, he has some scenes where he's like talking with Frida Pinta, and I'm like, oh, cool, I understand them, I get it. His character is just so blandly written, though, that I can't help but not really enjoy his role, because it's just so, like, blah. Same thing with the acting. Like, you know, Amy Adams, like, she doesn't have any layers to her drug addict performance. It's just like, look, she's an addict. Look how messy she is. Isn't this crazy? And again, this movie has nothing to say. It just presents these situations. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, the filmmakers, Ron Howard didn't need to, like, fix poverty and, you know, how do we tackle, you know, this look of the southern states and the environment and the economics and all that. I'm not trying to say he needs to fix it and run for office, but he needed something to say. This was such a weak Ron Howard directorial, like, effort, which I'm not a big fan of his movies. I like hit or miss. You know, I was going through them like, oh, Cocoon and Splash, but I don't really love Apollo 13. You know, I'm just going through stuff that I'm like, this isn't for me, and I understand that. But even taking myself out of, like, my personal bias and just looking at this as a movie, it's so poorly edited. It's so laughable in the performances. It's just so messy that I'm surprised that, like, Netflix is really going to push this. This better not get pushed before some of their other movies, because this is not as good as Defy Bloods, the Chicago 7, His House. There's so many other Netflix movies that I hope they're back and that they throw this one to the back of the bus. Well, that was Hillbilly Elegy. I think from that really bad poster that they released, you kind of knew that this was coming. I did not like this movie. I wanted to like it a lot. I love Glenn Close. I respect the hell out of Amy Adams. These are actresses I like. They're not even really even the main characters. That's why the marketing is so weird, the whole Oscar campaign, but we're gonna leave the dude behind. I don't understand any of this movie. Maybe you guys can explain it to me in the comments below. Maybe you could be like, oh, you're just missing this because you're not from the South. I live in Florida, I'm from the South. But, like, you know, sure, I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me figure this out. Let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth if you did enjoy this video. And make sure you guys give us a thumbs up because YouTube takes those way too serious. Alright guys, let's talk about Hillbilly Elegy down below.